Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramamsa Parivrakacharya Stotara Shatai Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, BBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Senapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki, Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki, Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Premsa Kaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Shri Gopi Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Sama Veta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premananda, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, entitled Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home, text number 14. And repeat after me. Sampidya Payum Parishnibhyam Vayum Utsarayan Chanai Nabhyam Koshteshu Avastapya Hrid Ura Kanta Shirshani Sampedya Payum Parishnibhyam Sampedya Payum Parishnibhyam Vayum Utsara Yan Chanai Vayum Utsarayan Chanai Nabhyam Koshteshu Avastapya Nabhyam Koshteshu Avastapya Hridura Kanta Shirshani Hridura Kanta Shirshani Sampedya Payum Parishnibhyam Vayum Utsarayan Chanai Nabhyam Koshteshu Avastapya Hridura Kanta Shirshani. Vidya Chanai Nabhyam Koshteshu Avastapya Sampedya Payum Parishnibhyam Vayum Utsarayan Chanai Nabhyam Koshteshu Avastapya Hridura Kanta Shirshani. Sampedya, by blocking Payum, the door of the anus, Parishnibhyam, by the calves, Vayum, the air which goes up, Utsarayan, pushing forward, pushing upward, Shanai, gradually, Nabhyam, by the navel, Koshteshu, in the heart and in the throat, Avastapya, fixing, Hrit, in the heart, Ura, upward, Kanta, throat, Shirshani, between the two eyebrows. Translation and Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. When Maharaj Prithu practiced a particular yogic sitting posture, he blocked the doors of his anus with his ankles, pressed his right and left calves, and gradually raised his life air upward, passing it on to the circle of his navel, up to his heart and throat, and finally pushed it upward to the central position between his two eyebrows. Purport. The sitting posture described herein is called Muktasana. In the yoga process, after following the strict regulative principles controlling sleeping, eating, and mating, one is allowed to practice the different sitting postures. The ultimate aim of yoga is to enable one to give up this body according to his own free will. One who has attained the ultimate summit of yoga practice can live in the body as long as he likes, or as long as he is not completely perfect. Leave the body to go anywhere within or outside the universe. Some yogis leave their bodies to go to the higher planetary systems and enjoy the material facilities therein. However, intelligent yogis do not wish to waste their time within the material world at all. They do not care for the material facilities in higher planetary systems, but are interested in going directly to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. From the description in this verse, it appears that Maharaj Prithu had no desire to promote himself to the higher planetary systems. He wanted to return home immediately, back to Godhead. Although Maharaj Prithu stopped all practice of mystic yoga after realizing Krishna consciousness, he took advantage of his previous practice and immediately placed himself on the Brahma Bhuta platform in order to accelerate his return to Godhead. The aim of this particular system of asana, known as the sitting posture for liberation or Muktasana, is to attain success in Kundalini chakra and gradually raise the life from the Muladhara chakra to the Swadhisthana chakra, then to the Manipura chakra, the Anahata chakra, the Vishuddha chakra, and finally to the Agya chakra. When the yogi reaches the Agya chakra, between the two eyebrows, he is able to penetrate the Brahma Rindra, or the hole in the skull, and go to any planet he desires, up to the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha, or Krishna Loka. The conclusion is that one has to come to the Brahma Bhuta stage for going back to Godhead. However, those who are in Krishna consciousness or who are practicing Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, can return to Godhead without even practicing the Muktasana process. The purpose of the Muktasana practice is to come to the Brahma Bhuta stage, for without being on the Brahma Bhuta stage, one cannot be promoted to the spiritual sky, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mamchayo yabicharena bhakti yogena sevatir sagunan samatityaitan Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. The Bhakti Yogi practicing Bhakti Yoga is always situated on the Brahma Bhuta stage. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. If a devotee is able to continue on the Brahma Bhuta platform, he enters the spiritual sky automatically after death and returns to Godhead. Consequently, a devotee need not feel sorry for not having practiced the Kundalini chakra or not penetrating the 6 chakras one after another. As far as Maharaj Prithu was concerned, he had already practiced this process, and since he did not want to wait for the time when his death would occur naturally, he took advantage of the Sat chakra penetration process and thus gave up the body according to his own free will and immediately entered the spiritual sky. Om Jnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Panchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The verse again. When Maharaj Prithu practiced a particular yogic sitting posture, he broke the doors of his anus with his ankles, pressed his right and left calves, and gradually raised his life air upward, passing it on to the circle of his navel, up to his heart and throat, and finally pushed it upward to the central position between his two eyebrows. Hare Krishna. When I gave class last week, I brought up this point that Prithu Maharaj was already qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. He did not need to engage in any external activity to develop Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada is already describing it here. Prithu Maharaj was on the Brahma Bhuta platform. Prithu Maharaj did not have to engage in yoga. Instead, Prithu Maharaj was eager to go back home, back to Godhead. So he used the yoga meditation practice as a tool to enforce his departure from the body. This is where we are right now in Prithu Maharaj's activities. The next few verses is describing what Prithu Maharaj is doing in that exact moment right before he leaves his body. In this verse, Prithu Maharaj is pushing the life force to break through the various chakras, and when he's ready, he will push himself through the hole on top of his skull called the Brahma Randra. Many people who have opened the Bhagavad Gita would have seen pictures in it, and one picture illustrates a yogi leaving the body. The soul is shooting out from the top of the head of the yogi. Prithu Maharaj is following the same yogic system. As it will become apparent in the next few verses, Prithu Maharaj will be unwinding the material body, merging earth into water, water into fire, and so on. So we know from Bhagavad Gita and from the Sankhya philosophy of Lord Kapila that the material world is made up of various elements. This one universe has 8 layers of elements beginning with false ego, then intelligence and the mind. These 3 elements are known as subtle material elements, and these elements constitute the body of a ghost. Then there are 5 gross material elements. The first one is ether. It's followed by air, fire, water, and the last one is earth. In due course of time, each element produces a byproduct. From ether, we get sound. From air, touch. From fire, sight. From water, taste. From earth, smell. And in due course of time, the various elements and its byproducts begins developing further, and we get the knowledge-acquiring senses and the working senses. The eyes, ears, skin, tongue, and nose, plus the arms, legs, vocal cords, genitalia, and the rectum. All of these various products of material nature combine to give the Atma, the soul, a material body. Prithu Maharaj is unraveling the material body through yoga meditation. Prithu Maharaj is breaking down the material elements in reverse order. He is going to merge the element of earth with the element of water and so on. This process is meant to allow Prithu Maharaj to cross over the material coverings of the universe. An example of this can be seen in Krishna book. Towards the end of Krishna book, after the war with the Kauravas, Yudhishthira is now the king. For a period of time, Arjuna had stayed in Dwaraka to be with Krishna. And while Arjuna was in Dwaraka, an incident had happened. A Brahmana had started family life. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. A Brahmana had started family life, and soon he was to become a father. So when the child was born, the child was stillborn. That means that the child's body came out of the womb, but the body had no life. So this incident happened several times, year after year. The Brahmana did everything to ensure that this child would be healthy, and still his children were born dead. So the Brahmana concluded that the problem isn't him or his family. Rather, when there is a problem in society, it means that there is a problem with the king. Since the Brahmana lived in Dwaraka and Krishna is the ruler in Dwaraka, that means there was a problem with Krishna. So with that conclusion, the Brahmana came to confront Krishna, and it so happened that Arjuna was present. Arjuna became agitated by the Brahmana blaming Krishna for his misfortune. At this point, Arjuna already knows Krishna's identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He heard Bhagavad Gita firsthand. He had seen the universal form of the Lord. How can Krishna, who is maintaining existence itself, be blamed for this incident? So Arjuna takes a vow to capture the real culprit and prove Krishna's innocence. And if he failed to catch the real bad guy, Arjuna promised to kill himself. So when it was time for the birth of the Brahmana's child, Arjuna was present. Arjuna was keeping guard with bow and arrow ready. And what happened after that? The child was born dead. Arjuna failed. Arjuna was able to detect where the problem was, but when he took action, he wasn't able to change the outcome of the child. So Arjuna kept his promise. If he failed, he will kill himself. As he was going to do just that, Krishna stopped him. Krishna didn't want to see his friend kill himself. So Krishna, who already knew who stole the souls of the Brahmana's children, and so Krishna invited Arjuna to find the culprit. Krishna and Arjuna got on the chariot and they sped off. They left Dwaraka, they left this earthly planet, and the chariot drove to the edge of the universe. And Krishna and Arjuna traversed each layer of the coverings of the universe. It's described that as they passed through each element, passing through earth, then water, then fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and lastly, false ego. Each layer they had passed was 10 times more difficult than the previous layer, with the false ego being the most difficult. And once they left the universe, Krishna and Arjuna wound up in the abode of Mahavishnu. And Arjuna got to learn that it was Mahavishnu who was stealing the children of the Brahmana. And Mahavishnu did it solely for the purpose of seeing Krishna. So Pritama Maharaj is unwinding the material body so that when he leaves the body, he can pass through each layer of the coverings of the universe without any hindrance, and then he'll enter the spiritual world. In the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, at least from our experience here at ISKCON Durban, when a devotee leaves their body, we have a ritual called the funeral rites. This is the final samskara for the departed. So if you've been to a devotee funeral, you would find that the activities that happen there is not exactly what is described in Shastra. As seen in Hindu society, the primary function of the funeral is to rebuild the body. So you will have a few items present, a betel leaf, and on top of the betel leaf, you put 3 blades of kusha grass. Then you put a ball of dough, and on top of the kusha grass, and with along with the other items, and that ball of dough is meant to represent a particular body part according to the specified mantra that is chanted. And then there will be 5 of such items to represent 5 body parts. The priest will engage the participant to place the body parts into the casket of the deceased. When the dead body is taken to the crematorium, the same thing happens again. Another 5 representations of body parts is placed in the casket of the deceased. Once the 10 body parts is complete, being placed in the casket, that part of the funeral process is done. The reason why there is 10 body parts is because these body parts represent the 5 knowledge acquiring senses and the 5 working senses. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are the knowledge acquiring senses. And the arms, legs, vocal cords, genitalia, and rectum is the 5 working senses. Then the priest will engage the participant in a fire yagya, then light the torch, circumambulate the body, and begin the cremation. As Vaishnavas, we don't practice such rituals in ISKCON. Not that we can't do it, rather it is not required. Our philosophy is simple living, high thinking. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna what happens to a devotee that doesn't make it back to the spiritual world. That devotee, depending on his level of Krishna consciousness, will take birth in a family of aristocrats, in a family of brahmanas, or a family of devotees. Just this point in Bhagavad Gita guarantees that a deceased devotee will get a material body if he or she still has some attachments to the material world. Similarly, there is no requirement for an external fire sacrifice. The devotees, having taken true Krishna consciousness, is chanting their 16 rounds minimum, following the 4 regulative principles, waking up early in the morning for Mangal Arati, engaged in practical devotional service, partakes in Krishna Prasadam, associates with devotees, and is reading Prabhupada's books, or books that have the realizations of Prabhupada's representatives. Devotees are already sacrificing themselves to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no need for an external fire sacrifice. In fact, we can simplify the last rites even further than what we actually practice. A Maha garland, no doubt that it's auspicious, but doesn't serve a purpose in a funeral rite. Sometimes devotees bring Vrindavan dust to put in the casket. Auspicious, but doesn't serve a purpose. Sometimes devotees place a piece of the deity's outfit, like a chadar or a skirt, into the casket. Auspicious, but serves no function in a funeral rite. All of these items are offered in sentiment. The only item that has genuine value in a funeral rite is tulsi. On ISKCON Desire Tree, there was an article about Tulsi Devi. And one of the benefits of tulsi is that if you place a tulsi leaf on the forehead or in the mouth of the deceased, the opportunity for liberation is open for that person. Similarly, and I stand to be corrected, there used to be a thin yellow book about Tulsi Maharani, and there was a part that said, when cremating a dead body, if you place a single dry tulsi twig to be cremated with the body, the possibility of liberation is open for that person. Actually, you can forgo everything and just put one dry tulsi twig with the body for cremation, and it's done. You don't have to do anything else. To make it more complicated, we can add tulsi leaves on the forehead or place a tulsi leaf in the mouth of the body. You can make it even more complicated. Pour some maha water into the mouth of the body if you can. There's a part in where it's described that somebody had thrown Krishna Prasadam into the water, and the fish started eating the Prasadam. There happened to be a devotee that was there observing the fish, and something amazing happened. The fish left their body. The fish left its body and transformed into a Vishnu Duta, then rose up, leaving the material world. The devotee who was observing this scenario immediately went to tell his spiritual master what had happened. Then the Guru replied, "The fish ate the prasadam without committing any offenses. That's why they got liberation." So even Krishna's Mahavata can serve a purpose in a funeral rite. Even though our lifestyle is simple living, high thinking, not many people have high thinking. So the funeral has to be presentable to the public eye, and so we do the bare minimum in ritualistic activity in a funeral rite. We light the torch, then we have a person walk around the body anti-clockwise 7 times before lighting the sandalwood and sending the body into the furnace for cremation. This anti-clockwise circumambulation can be taken as a metaphorical and philosophical understanding of the unraveling of the material elements. Prithu Maharaj is manually unwinding the material body through yoga meditation. And in the funeral, the anti-clockwise circumambulation is a ritualistic enactment of the unwinding of the material body. While there is no scriptural injunction that we know of that says that what Prithu Maharaj is doing and how ISKCON devotees conduct a funeral has a connection, but if you put Prithu Maharaj's yoga practice and the ISKCON funeral practice side by side, there is some similarities in that idea of the unraveling of the body. Another point of recognition in the purport is the Brahma Bhuta stage. This is a commonality between us and Prithu Maharaj. A yogi has to practice yoga to reach the Brahma Bhuta stage, but Prithu Maharaj had always been on the Brahma Bhuta platform. He was merely using yoga as a means to leave the body. As for us, practitioners of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says here in the purport that we are already on the Brahma Bhuta platform. Simply by practicing this bhakti yoga process, we have already made it. We are on the Brahma Bhuta platform. You would have heard in this you would have heard this in other lectures, that when a person takes up Krishna consciousness, it implies that that person has already studied all the Vedas and practiced all the processes described in the Vedas in his previous life. And that's why he has taken up Krishna consciousness in this lifetime. Or you are practicing Krishna consciousness in this lifetime because you have practiced Krishna consciousness in a previous life. And so long as you continue practicing bhakti yoga, you will continue advancing in spiritual life. Prabhupada says if a devotee continues on the Brahma Bhuta platform, he will automatically return to Godhead. There are some examples of this mentioned in Bhagavatam and other literatures. The jiva leaves from the top of the head and shoots up into the spiritual sky. The jiva leaves the body and is greeted by Nanda and Sunanda, who come with a spiritual airplane to take the devotee into the spiritual sky. Some devotees get mukti and just float up into the spiritual sky. Another description says that the devotee who is in the material world, he closes his eyes, then when he opens his eyes again, he is in the spiritual world. It is like he just woke up from a nightmare. Going to Godhead is automatic, but automatic doesn't mean mechanical. You can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. Ultimately, whether you go back to Godhead or not is solely your own choice. If you prioritize something other than going back to Godhead, then you won't go to the spiritual world. Vishwamitra Muni is a devotee of the Lord. He was the one who took Ramachandra to meet Sita. Vishwamitra was born a Kshatriya, and somehow he developed rivalry with Vasishta Muni. Vasishta Muni was a Brahma Rishi, so Vishwamitra wanted to become a Brahma Rishi also. Vishwamitra left his kingdom and his family and went to the forest to practice austerities. Every time things were going smoothly for Vishwamitra, a problem would arise. Too much anger, need to stop being angry. Indra sent an apsara to disturb his meditation. Vishwamitra ended up starting a family. And similar disturbances kept occurring. Vishwamitra spent tens of thousands of years trying to become a Brahma Rishi. One time, Vishwamitra was swindled into making a promise. He promised a Kshatriya king that he'll send the king to the heavenly planets with the same body he currently has. Vishwamitra, with his mystic power, began sending the king up into the sky so so he'll reach heaven. But Indra wasn't having that. Indra hit the king back down to the earth planet. So Vishwamitra tried to send the king back to heaven again, and Indra would send the king back down to earth. Essentially, the king was going up and down continuously. Just like how you play tennis, the ball goes back and forth. The king was also going back and forth. Eventually, Vishwamitra got fed up. To keep his promise, Vishwamitra decided to create a parallel heavenly planet with its own demigods and send the king there. And that's what Vishwamitra did. He succeeded, but the cost was too much. Vishwamitra ended up burning all his karma, including the karma of his current material body. And without any karma, his body couldn't maintain any more life force. Vishwamitra was about to die. At that time, Vishwamitra remembered the Supreme Personality of Godhead and chanted Vishnu's names. And the Supreme Lord came personally to meet Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra did something amazing, created a parallel heavenly planet. Since Vishwamitra couldn't maintain such a huge creation on his own, Lord Vishnu said he will maintain this parallel heavenly planets with all its inhabitants. Then Vishnu told Vishwamitra, let's go home back to Godhead. But Vishwamitra said, he told Lord Vishnu that he wants to become a Brahma Rishi. That is his greatest desire. And Vishnu said, okay, check you later. Vishnu disappeared, and Vishwamitra had to restart his austerities from scratch. After tens of thousands of years, Vishwamitra finally became a Brahma Rishi, and the truths of the material world was revealed to him, and essentially Vishwamitra was in the same category as Lord Brahma. So Vishwamitra was remembering all his struggles, and then he remembered that he had the opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead, and he didn't take it. On the Brahma Bhuta platform, going to the spiritual world is automatic, but not mechanical. With your free will, you can choose whether to go back to Godhead or take birth again. So when you are on your deathbed, don't say, I want to distribute one more book. Otherwise, Krishna will say, take birth again and distribute more books. I am not ready to go to the spiritual world. I still want to eat one more samosa from Govinda's. Okay, take birth again. Govinda's needs your support anyways. Prabhupada made the point that you should do your business and go back home, back to Godhead. Do not stick around in the material world. Some senior devotees even say that you shouldn't stick around in this Kali Yuga because you don't want to be around when Kalki comes. I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks for the class.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, while I was preaching yesterday and somebody asked me that if one qualifies to go to the spiritual world, will he be able to see his loved one and Srila Prabhupada? Can he recognize? For instance, like if I by chance rather on his mercy and do all my sadhana nicely, if I go to the spiritual world, will I be able to see my wonderful Vaishnava friend after 25 years, Bilwa? Or recognize him?
Prabhupada said that there is an ISKCON in the spiritual world also. So it's very likely that we will meet again in Vrindavan. And an idea is also in this particular chapter that after Prithu Maharaj goes back home, back to Godhead, his wife, Queen Archie, also leaves her body. And she also goes back home, back to Godhead. And when she returns, she becomes Prithu Maharaj's wife again. So it's possible to meet friends and other devotees that you are acquainted with. Any other questions or comments? Vidyapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, now when we go to funerals of non-devotees, is it advisable to take our ISKCON paraphernalia and go? Because I know the other day I wanted to take a garland and go to a funeral of a non-devotee, and Maharaj even asked me, is that person a devotee? But he didn't elaborate much. But I've heard from other devotees that we shouldn't be taking a Maha garland and go to a funeral of a non-devotee.
Any form of Krishna prasadam is beneficial to the person who is receiving it. And that's completely fine. But to use our system of the last rites for a person who is not a devotee, it doesn't work for them, because the non-devotee doesn't have the practice of devotional service. They haven't been chanting 16 rounds or following the 4 regulator principles or engaging in practical devotional service. And therefore, our process of funeral rites doesn't work well for them. But the person can receive prasadam. That will help them. Any other questions or comments? Ananta Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.